Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Wednesday Night Madness live on YouTube and StreamYard.com. It is Google MF Michael Fletcher alongside Anthony Florio. We are awaiting the arrival of Michael Bullock. If he comes in, great. If he doesn't, then I guess we'll see him tomorrow night for a very special edition of TXN Sports World. So, my goodness, what a night it was. Obviously, for Anthony Florio and for myself, a little extra added uh, rush of adrenaline coming through tonight, and we'll get into it. We will get into it. We're gonna do a special edition of the Bulls Corner later on, not now, but later on, as the Chicago Bulls was in the play-in. That's right, the right to get into the NBA playoffs. Uh, they are the 10 seed. They had to play the 9 seed, the Toronto Raptors, and then if they win that, then they get a shot at the possible 8 seed. They would have to play the loser of Atlanta versus Miami. That game was held last night, and it was and this was major implications as well for Michael Bullock and the Boston Celtics, because the winner of that game, Boston would find out who they get to play in round 1 of the NBA playoffs. So, like I said, we'll get into all that later tonight after we do our NXT and AEW recaps, because there's nothing else other on the docket. So let's just dive right in, as we always do, with wrestling. And we start out with NXT. This was, well, I don't know if it was live, but whatever. But it was last night. So let's just dive right in, ladies and gentlemen. All right, so NXT, from the from the CWC, the Capital Wrestling Center, aka the WWE Performance Center. This has been kind of their home away from home ever since the pandemic hit. So let's start it. Let's do it. And we started off. Oh, no, I don't want AEW. I want an NXT. Sorry, folks. Live TV. All right, here we go. We got the notes. Here we go. So, well, we started off was Carmelo Hayes and Trick Williams cutting a promo. And, well, they talked about the whole thing. Then there was, certain guys coming out. You had Dragon Lee. You had JD McDonough. Yeah, brought, with everything going on, Grayson Waller came out. Look, all these guys wants to be the next champion. All these guys wants to win the NXT championship. Carmelo Hayes has got a big target on his back. And if you notice, based off of what happened a week ago, there's a role reverse. Carmelo Hayes is kind of semi-face now, where Braun Breaker went full heel. So maybe that was the best decision to go, because of the fact that Braun wasn't getting the reception that he was getting from the fans. And as you notice, especially at Stand and Deliver in LA, Carmelo got a hero's welcome into the building, where a lot of the fans were booing Braun Breaker in that match. So Carmelo is definitely playing the face. I think that the one guy who kind of still makes Carmelo a little bit of a heel is Trick Williams. I think once Trick breaks away or maybe betrays Carmelo, because I think that's where they're going to go with it, Melo can be on his own and could be a mega star. Babyface, top babyface in NXT. No doubt about it in my mind. But at the end of the day, solid promo segment to start off the show. Very formulaic. However, the way that this actually plays out at the end, I think we're going to be very happy with the way that it set it up all together. So, nothing more to say. Anthony Florio, come on in. It's all yours, my friend.
Thank you very much, MF. Yeah, this was a fine opening segment. But at the same time, I got to throw in some constructive criticism here. It accomplished little, as no one said much of note. It was the classic multi-man feud build where everyone got in their 2-sentence shot and moved on. It might have worked better if NXT had not already announced both Dragon Lee and JD McDonough for the Fatal 4-Way main event later in the show. Instead, the only surprise was the return of Grayson Waller. While the Australian is the top heel in NXT outside of the newly turned Braun Breaker, it may be a mistake to pair him up with Mello so soon. This segment included the announcement of Spring Breakin' in 2 weeks, which will be where the next number one contender gets the first shot at Carmelo Hayes in the NXT Championship. And while Breaker was offered the 4th spot, it was not confirmed he would take it. So that's definitely someone we need to keep an eye on later in the show. But yeah, solid seg things off. So not much more to say here. So MF, which I understand was a return match from Stand and Deliver.
The NXT Women's Tag Team titles on the line. Alba Fire and Isla Dawn putting the newly crowned titles that they won at Stand and Deliver against the former champions, Fallon Henley and Kiana James, winners of the bout in 10 minutes and 12 seconds. And still the NXT Women's Tag Team champions, which Isla Dawn and Alba Fire. But the big story of this fight was Brooks and Jansen. My goodness, implosion is the word of the night on that one. Basically, I think it was Jansen that tried to. Yes, Jansen tried to tell Fallon to use that loaded purse that Kiana James always brings to the ring. But Henley's like, no, get out of here with it. And then it cost them the fight. But Brooks is like, what the heck? And Jansen just shoves Brooks right to the ground. Basically like, dude, I'm enough of your junk. I don't give a damn anymore. I'm done. So it looks like I don't know if Fallon Henley, I don't know if Kiana James was hoping for this, but if she did, mission accomplished. Brooks and Jansen are definitely on the outs. You can definitely see it. Florio, it's yours.
Stars, this was not as good as the Stand and Deliver match. It was good enough for television, but focused too much on outside drama than the Isla Dawn and Alba Fire mostly floated through this defense. The right team won, and hopefully the experiment of James and Henley is over. The next chapter is the corruption of Jensen by James. This could be a smart way to take the young star to the next level as a heel, but NXT would lose a good tag team. Before the match, James and Henley fought in the locker room. Briggs asked where Jensen was, and James said he did not want to see his friends. And then Jensen arrived and to the ring. He tried to get Henley to. He refused. He pushed down Briggs, and James and Henley bring Briggs and Jensen. But about 3 to 3 1/4 for this. A lot more than this that meets. There's more to it than meets the eye here. We're definitely looking the road. Maybe we could get a mixed tag feud out of this. Maybe we could see Kiana James and Brooks Jensen against Fallon Henley and Josh Briggs down the road.
Maybe at that Spring Breakin', possibly. I mean that could be the next one. So yeah, at the end of the day, 3-star solid fight. Obviously, right team won. I think we can all agree with that. But at the end of the day, I thought it could have been a lot more better in certain elements. But it was good. It was good. So nothing more to say. We do indeed move on. And all right, the NXT Heritage Cup champion Noam Dar shows up, and there was a lot of things that broke down here. So you had Chase University. He kind of did a promo. Well, not really a promo, but whatever. Basically, the next thing we had was Chase U. They were going to give the Most Valuable Player award to Duke Hudson. Out comes Braun Breaker And Breaker basically just, politely offered Duke Hudson his number one contender spot. Um, Dan absolutely just destroyed everybody in the ring. So it basically pretty much is that, Breaker kind of ripped the fans, saying, it was you guys that pretty much he's like, I don't need your approval. Basically calling the fans scumbags. I'm like, whoa, Braun, not PG. And the fans basically in turn is like, you still suck. So I mean, there you go. Braun Breaker, full-fledged heel, confirmed. And then beating up on, Chase University. I don't know, man. I mean, this is gonna be interesting to see, I guess. Um, then we had the second fight of the evening, Eddie Thorpe versus big body Javier Barnell. What? Fine match. It was all right. Maybe a quick little showcase more than anything else. 3 minutes and 38 seconds. We don't really need to get into that, Florio. Um, then we had Sol Ruca versus Tiffany Stratton. Tiffany Stratton winning the match in 5 minutes and 38 seconds. Basically, it's um, a showcase for Tiffany Stratton. She's already made it abundantly clear she wants the NXT Women's title, currently held by Indy Hartwell. If you watched the bump earlier today on WWE Network or on Peacock or I saw this on YouTube through the WWE page on YouTube. And she basically says, just bring it on. I'm going to be a fighting champion. I'm willing to take on all comers. Indy, sweetie, be careful what you wish for. I got to say, I have to basically utilize a classic Joey style reference, is that you never, ever, 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 under any circumstances, basically declare yourself open season in any wrestling promotion for a championship, because when you're the champion, you are the hunted. You're not the hunter. And if you want to remain the NXT Women's Champion, you might want to be a little careful with how you're saying. Call yourself a fighting champion? I admire you. I love you for that. But Anthony, as you know and I know and anything else, there is a laundry list of challengers that wants a shot at the NXT Women's title. Tiffany Stratton is one. Cora Jade is another. And you got to also understand Zoe Stark might also be in there. There's a lot of women that wants where Indy is right now.
And let's not forget the former champion, Roxanne Perez. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but doesn't she have a rematch clause in there? Or not really?
Yes, in a way, but I have not heard anything about Roxanne getting that rematch clause. And a lot of the times, especially nowadays, you don't hear that many people getting immediate rematches in WWE now. Back then, when McMahon was running, yeah, if you lost the belt, you automatically got the first shot back. But now with Triple H running it and Shawn running NXT, I have not seen that many former champions getting the first shot at titles. As a matter of fact, I'll openly admit it. Case in point, with Carmelo, now that he is the champion, Braun Breaker is not the first opponent.
That's right.
We'll get into that later tonight.
Yes, we will. All right. 2.5 stars for the match. This match showed potential, but it was so obviously choreographed. The moves were there, but not the spark. Both needed to slow down a bit to sell the action and the story. In a few months' time, this could be a much better bout, highlighted at the top of an NXT card, but both will need to work with the coaches to refine their transitions together to take that next step. The center of the universe was always going to win, as she hopes to get an NXT Women's Championship match soon. But Sol Ruca has shown she can rebound from losses and use this as the start of a long-term build. Stratton and Ruka both landed on their feet off cartwheels. The Center of the Universe offered a handshake. When Ruka accepted, Stratton kicked her down and hit a standing moonsault. And those were really the only real highlights of this matchup. So a solid 2.5 stars. So we'll see what happens when it comes to who will get that first shot at Indy Hartwell in the NXT Women's Championship. Maybe at Spring Break-In, and we got a pay-per-view event called Battleground, which is going to go head-to-head with AEW Double or Nothing.
I know. Wow. Gutsy move by WWE.
War.
Gutsy move by WWE.
Yeah, ballsy indeed. So, but we'll get into that another day. But for right now, 2.5 stars for this match. So not much more to say. MF, let's get ready for the next match, and I'll start it off. We heard.
What is it?
Cora Jade, your girl.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Cora Jade. She just basically opened fired. She came out saying that she came out to the women's division to find out and that it's flipped upside down. She noted Zoe Stark. She did call out her old bestie, Roxanne Perez. And then called out Gigi Dolan. And with everything that happened, and then of course she did call out Indy Hartwell, basically, and then was cut it off by Lara Valkyria. I know I butchered the last name. I apologize, Lara. I love you. And here we go. So it looks like it's going to be Lara and Cora possibly down the line, but we'll see how that plays out. Next up, big fight match. Ilya Dragunov, Von Wagner. Ilya Dragunov winning the match in 3 minutes and 24 seconds. And of course, by the decree of Mr. Robert Stone, because Von Wagner lost, they're going to break up. They're going to go their own separate ways. So, Anthony, it's yours.
How long was that match? Like 2 minutes?
3:24 actually.
Oh, all right. Well, it was pretty much a squash match. Wagner started out hot, but he could not keep up once the Tsar began hitting hard. Dragunov more or less hit his signature moves in sequence to finish this. Mr. Stone is officially done with Wagner, and it makes the whole experiment come off as a waste. Stone and Wagner never worked as a duo, and NXT did not try to change the dynamic at all, despite repeat teases. But you noticed, you left something out here. Dijak. Dijak and Dragunov? That's a money match. That's a big money match for NXT. They are too good not to steal the show whenever they collide.
It is.
And Wagner got too confident. He mocked Dragunov, but Stone tried to get him back on track. And Dijak promised to make the Tsar immortal. Alrighty. So, 1.5. That's really the best I can give this. I mean, like I said, it was basically a showcase for Dragunov here. And I'm glad that Stone experiment's over. That thing was going nowhere. So no point in keeping that unnecessary nonsense going. So we'll see what happens with Wagner going forward. But Dijak and Dragunov, MF, that's a big money match down the road, as I give it to you.
Yeah, it is. No doubt about it. Big money match. Nothing more to say on that. That's going to be a pretty good one here. Next up we had was Tank Ledger versus Joe Coffey. Joe Coffey winning the match in 4 minutes and 25 seconds. More of a showcase fight. Not many people know Joe Coffey really well. If you haven't, then, well, here you go. Joe Coffey. I seen him in ICW. I know what he brings to the table. He's something else. That's all I'm going to say about that. Really good, solid. Nothing more to say there. Then leads us to the main event of the evening. This was the big one, guys. It was Dragon Lee, JD McDonough, Grayson Waller, and Duke Hudson. The winner gets a shot at the NXT title at Spring Break-In. And when it was all said and done, winner of the bout In 12 minutes and 44 seconds, Grayson Waller wins it all. Fight of the night, obviously. 3.5 stars is my rating for the match. Great main event fight, great matchup. Kind of made everything passable in my eyes because I thought this was kind of an NXT show. But yeah, this was solid enough. Really nothing more to say. Florio, it's yours.
3.5 stars, fight of the night as well. Unsurprisingly, this was easily the fight of the night, in which everyone got their spot. Dragon Lee and JD McDonough continued from the stand and deliver fatal 5-way, keeping that same energy. Duke Hudson was the most popular figure in this match, despite fighting 3 men with more credibility than him. NXT would do well to test how far Hudson can go in the main event scene. Grayson Waller's win was vintage for him as he remains a great opportunist, especially in multi-man matches, but it's a shame WWE may be wasting this matchup on a 2-week build to spring breaking. Everyone focused on the biggest man early in the action. It finally backfired as Hudson double suplexed Waller and McDonough and then slammed Dragon Lee onto them. The competitors jumped onto each other outside before Hudson went for a dive, only to run right into a cutter from Waller for a near fall. Dragon Lee foot stomp, followed by a tope suicida on Hudson and running soccer kick on the Necessary Evil to almost win. 3.5 stars, 100% agree with the rating. And what a great first title defense for Carmelo Hayes. I don't think they could have picked a better first challenger if you weren't going to do the rematch with Breaker right away. I think that's coming at Battleground. I think that Battleground, that will be at the Songus Arena in Lowell, Mass.
Yep.
On May 28th, when they literally go head-to-head with AEW Double or Nothing. I'll tell you that right now. I think that's when when Breaker's gonna, quote unquote, invoke his rematch clause. But when MF, if you're not gonna do the rematch right away, and you're looking for, a more than adequate first challenger for a new champion,
this is it.
In terms of Carmelo, this is it. Grayson Waller.
This is it. Yep. I totally agree. I totally agree with that too, and I think it will be a solid matchup. It's gonna be a hell of a fight.
And Vic Joseph on commentary. I mean, when Waller was sneaking in for that winning fall, he was going no. Oh man, I couldn't help but get a little chuckle out of that. I mean, he sold that perfectly because we all know why. Because we all know Vic Joseph and Johnny Gargano are boys. They're literally like besties almost.
Yeah.
And that was basically out of what Grayson Waller put him through, and a personal disdain for Grayson Waller and all those no's that he did. He sold that moment absolutely perfectly.
Yep.
So, and that's why he doesn't get enough recognition as a commentator. So.
And I kind of feel like that is also the sentiment of Michael Bullock too. I think like honestly, I think that was also Michael Bullock's sentiment by what happened there. But it is what it is. It was solid. It was good. There's really nothing more to say. And yeah, congratulations to Grayson Waller. You're the #1 contender. Anthony, overall, well, 3.5 stars is my rating. Overall review.
Yeah, same here. 3.5 for the main event match. That was easily the fight of the night. Middle of the road show, to be honest with you. It felt like a vintage NXT 2.0 show. It was a middle of the road. I mean, we had only 2 good matches, not overly spectacular matches, and then the usual snooze us out, whatever. Couple of good angle advancements here and there. Placeholder show, and we had the main event for spring break and all set to go. Carmelo Hayes, his first title defense, squaring off against Grayson Waller. Should be a great matchup. That's going to be the show stealer of that show in a couple weeks on April 25th. So that's all there is to say there. 5.5. MF, your thoughts, and then we'll get into AEW Rampage from Milwaukee.
Yeah, I agree with that too. I totally agree with what you just said there. It's about a 5.5. It could have been a lot more better, but it was a little bit of a disappointing. And yeah, nothing more to say. So we do go into the show from the good land, the Panther Arena in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Yeah, and we started off with a banger. Swerve Strickland versus Darby Allin one-on-one. Darby Allin winning the match in 14 minutes and 40 seconds. I'm going to call fight of the night. I mean, that's how good this match was. When you get the first fight of the evening and it's your fight of the night, oh yeah, you did something really good here. Honestly, to me, this was easily 4 to 4.25 stars. I got nothing more to say here. Anthony, it's yours.
Apparently, there's history with these two guys. They go back a ways, I guess.
Not that I know of, probably from the independents, because I don't ever remember them wrestling probably from independence, because I don't ever remember them doing Ring of Honor or anything like that. So that was kind of, when they were saying about that, that was kind of news to me. But I think maybe Pro Wrestling Guerrilla, maybe, I don't know. I kind of was a little thrown when they said that.
Yeah, that that's what I was wondering, honestly. When they mentioned it, I thought maybe you knew something about it. That's why I thought I'd bring it up. But
yeah, no, because like I said, I've never seen them in Ring of Honor. I know they've never done WWE or anything like that. I think it's probably independent circuit. I think it's, outside of the major organizations.
okay, so but yeah, banger of a match here. No question about that. A Have two good talents like a Darby Allin and a Swerve Strickland, who are capable of putting on banger matches like we saw here tonight. I mean, that's when you know you're doing something right here, no doubt. In what was the best showcase of Swerve Strickland's talents as a singles competitor, Swerve showed up and showed out, showing great intensity as he sought to spoil Darby Allin's run to the AEW World Heavyweight Championship. Darby, as he has numerous times, fought through the adversity and interference from Prince Nana and the Machine, Brian Cage, to remain alive in the match. Late after the official prevented Strickland from using a steel chair, Allen stacked his opponent up with the Last Supper for the win. Great match that did not need to be taken for this match to be as good as it was, but you come to expect that with Darby Allin in particular. Even with them, the tone was right, the action was great, and the interference from the heels helped to put over the Mogul Embassy merger relatively well. Swerve looked great, Darby was resilient, and the fans were into all of it. Great stuff from the jump tonight. And I mentioned about the history because Excalibur, it was Excalibur on commentary, as he always awesomely does, explained that Swerve Strickland holds a 4-3 lifetime record against Darby Allin, which is obviously now 4-4. Allin launched himself at Swerve from the opening bell, and the opening moments of the bout occurred on the floor as the former TNT champion avenged last Friday's sneak attack. Sammy Guevara, with his wife, Ty Mello, watched from backstage, taking great interest in what fellow pillar Darby Allin did in a potentially high-stakes bout. Swerve used the chain, grinding it in Allen's mouth, which bled and put over the beating the babyface suddenly found himself on the receiving end of. Swerve rocked Darby with a kick to the face, and with his opponent seated on the ring apron, delivered a double stomp to the floor heading into the picture-in-picture break. The aggressor appeared to have potentially twisted his ankle in the process. And with Swerve nursing the foot injury, he released the pressure by removing his boot. Allen proceeded to bite said foot, drawing chants reflective of his depravity, while the commentary team had a few laughs. Jungle Boy Jack Perry also watched from backstage. Darby delivered a poison Rana from the ring apron, driving Strickland headfirst into the floor. Back in the ring, Darby delivered a coffin drop, but Prince Nana interfered and put Swerve's foot on the ropes to break up the count. And then Brian Cage and Prince Nana interrupted again, but referee Aubrey Edwards ejected them from ringside. 4 to 4.25 stars. Great matchup here. And then a great promo segment followed that with MJF. I'm sure MF probably wanted to get into that separately. We can certainly do that if that's the case. So, yeah. So 4.25
Go
stars.
ahead, Floyo. No, you got it. Go ahead. Fire it.
Oh, okay. Two for one deal here, I guess. All right. And then after that, ahead of what looks destined to be a fatal four-way match for the AEW World Championship at Double or Nothing on May 28th, World Champion MJF, it looks like it's going to be MJF, Darby Allin, Sammy Guevara, and Jungle Boy. The self-proclaimed salt of the earth had a few things to get off his chest, and he did, taunting Darby Allin by reminding him he has already defeated him before with a move as simple as a headlock. The babyface's response, one of the best, most real, and most impassioned promos of his career. He spoke of therapy, swore never to change himself for success in wrestling, and vowed to take the title off MJF. Throw in great stuff from Sting, including a tease of his eventual retirement, and you have a hell of a segment that trumps anything that went down in last week's mess involving the world champ. This was the best we have ever seen out of Darby Allin from a promo perspective, and almost makes the potential for a one-on-one with MJF more appealing than the tease four-way with Sammy and Jungle Boy. And MJF, he said, "Hey, I'm sick of you doing my catchphrase, so shut up." And MJF said, "Those two words are headlock takeover," referencing the basic hold he used to defeat Darby at Full Gear 2021. And Darby said, "Hey, with the money I have made from AEW, I bought my parents a house and helped my dad retire." And he said, "Max, this is just a 15-minute ride. I'm not going to lower my morals to be somebody in this world." And MJF said, "Morals kill careers in this sport, and that's a fact." And MJF said, "This is the difference between me and you and the other two pillars," pointing to the belt. "I'm willing to do whatever it takes to leave a legacy in this sport. Your legacy is going to be this, Darby, Sting's biatch." And Sting said, "I see myself as a cheerleader. I got a fever, and the only cure for my fever is more pom-poms." And he threw said pom-poms at MJF. And Sting said, "I said Cody." Yes, he went there. He said Cody. And the truth hurts, doesn't it, Max? And he said, referencing the fact that Cody Rhodes was was his greatest cheerleader at one time before MJF turned on him. "I'm just going to be real with everyone and you. Showtime is almost over," Sting said, hinting at eventual retirement. And Darby said, "This plastic world is not taking me alive, Max. I am leaving the same person I came in, and I'm also leaving as the AEW World Champion." Segment of the night. This is absolutely fantastic. Combine that with the match with Swerve, and you have yourself a good solid 30 to 40 minutes worth of stuff to start this show here tonight. Both of which were very well done. Fight of the night, segment of the night, back to back, right out of the box. NMF, Sting also mentioned about his past characters, like Surfer Sting, that which of course we all know that's what got him over ultimately.
That was the legend, the legendary Sting, the one that made him really the legend that he is, the icon.
Yeah, late 80s, early 90s. Of course, it was that Sting that defeated the Nature Boy Ric Flair for the World Heavyweight Championship, Great American Bash 1990, and that's where Sting's career took off, and it's been that way ever since. And of course, he also mentioned the Crow Sting. We all remember that. That's I mean, Surfer Sting was one thing, but the Crow Sting, that's what got him ridiculously over.
Yeah.
I mean, which led to that disaster of a match with Hogan at Starrcade, which we all know was a disaster. Let's not kid ourselves. And then, of course, he even brought up when he was in TNA, when he was the Joker. We all remember when he had that Joker character. And look where he is now as a mentor, so to speak, to Darby Allin. So, and Sting gave a shout out to Ric Flair. I mean, Sting and Ric Flair, they're like this. They're close outside the ring. We all know that.
Yeah.
So close that Ric Flair inducted Sting when Sting went into the Hall of Fame, the WWE Hall of Fame in 2016. So that's how close they are. Let's not forget that. So owes him a lot of gratitude for. I mean, Ric Flair. If it wasn't for Ric Flair, there'd be no Sting. Let's be realistic. But anyways, great, very, very good stuff to start things off. The first 35, 40 minutes or so. You had the fight of the night and the segment of the night back to back. Wow. Darby Allin, MVP of tonight's show. As I give it to you, MF.
Total agreement. Yeah. Great start to the show. Great everything. Um, then after that, you had the perfect cool down fight, as it was Powerhouse Hobbs versus Silas Young for the TNT Championship, and Powerhouse Hobbs winning the match in 45 seconds. All right. In one sense, I get it, but to bury Silas Young, who's actually a mainstay of Ring of Honor, and I know a lot of people are going to be, and I know there's the true wrestling fans were really pissed off about this. Um, Silas Young, the last great professional wrestler, that's what he monikers himself as, and he didn't even get off the blocks. And I think a lot of people thought that this was going to be a more quality type fight, and they literally buried him. So, I mean, yeah, there was a lot of fans really upset at Tony Khan for this fight. Absolute dud, worst fight of the night. Um, if you want to call it the perfect cool down fight, I'll give you that, because that's exactly what it was, a cool down. Then after that, we did have the next fight, which was Orange Cassidy versus Buddy Matthews for the International Championship. And it was Orange Cassidy winning the match, 14 minutes even, another banger. 3 and 3 quarters, close to 4. A solid fight, a good matchup, second best fight of the night in my eyes. Excellent battle. But Cassidy is still holding on to that belt, man. He's done a heck of a job as champion. So nothing more to add. Anthony Florio, what's yours?
Solid 4 stars on this. You can make an argument second best fight of the night, but if you also wanted to make an argument for fight of the night on this one, we wouldn't be mad at you, because this was just as good. Julia Hart may not have gotten involved, but for the majority of the match, she didn't have to. Because of what Buddy Matthews focusing on the injured right hand of his opponent, taking away both his dominant hand and the ability to deliver the orange punch. Orange Cassidy, as he has done repeatedly throughout his title reign, fought through the pain and found a way to win, scored a tight pin on the mousetrap. This was a fantastic match with some great psychology and selling from Cassidy. Matthews was great, but that is no surprise to anyone who has followed him like we have over the last 5 or so years. And he likely earned some new fans tonight. There are a lot of Orange Cassidy detractors who dismiss him because of his character and gimmick, but he has repeatedly proven to have good to great matches against wrestlers of different styles and backgrounds. He's a resilient babyface who fights from underneath, and that is something that is evergreen, even as the industry continues to evolve. He has been the workhorse of AEW and a guy that has been a highlight in even the not-so-great days. Cassidy uncharacteristically entered the match with his hand taped, a recall to an injury he suffered a week ago. The champion rocked Buddy Matthews with the orange punch, but immediately nursed the hand. Doc Sampson checked on him at ringside entering the break. Orange Cassidy worked with his left hand, doing a solid job of selling the injured right. The champion and challenger did the double beat the count spot to avoid a count out. Matthews mocked his opponent, lightly and arrogantly kicking him. Cassidy responded, sliding his injured hand into his pocket. The heel answered with a knee to the face. Cassidy played possum and tried for the orange punch, but Matthews evaded and delivered a stomp for a great near fall. And Cassidy used the mousetrap to pin Buddy Matthews here. Fantastic match. 4 stars. Another fight of the night candidate. It's definitely between the opener and this. I mean, you can make an argument for either one. Both of them were very well done. So, but then again, MF, when you heard this match, when this match was announced ahead of time, I said to myself, yeah, this is going to be a banger. And
sure enough,
banger. We got a banger. What a no. Should we be surprised by that? No,
absolutely not. Nope.
Considering, let me tell you, it was when that belt was first known as the All Atlantic Championship. Then they switched it to the International Championship. But let me tell you, ever since they put that belt on Orange Cassidy, that International Championship belt, I believe, is the best thing that has ever happened to Orange Cassidy.
Yeah,
I believe that, because ever since he won that title from Pac months ago, he's put on more banger matches. I mean, his title, every time you hear that he's going to defend the title, no matter who it's against, you have a reason to actually look forward to it. And when I saw Buddy Matthews, I'm like, oh, this is going to be epic. And sure enough, it was. And I'm not at all surprised by that. I mean, nobody knows Buddy Matthews better than we do, Matt, from his WWE days, because he worked on both of our shows. And Buddy Matthews, a former Cruiserweight champion of the world, and of course, a former co-holder of the Raw Tag Team Championship with Seth frickin' Rollins. So Matthews is used to the championship environment. So fantastic match from two fantastic workers. And I can't wait to see who Orange defends the title against next, because since he won that title, I mean, he's gotten so much better. And you may not like his gimmick, you may not like it, but this dude can go. He can go.
Yep.
So it took me a while. I mean, it took him. I mean, I wasn't crazy about the gimmick at first, but then once I started seeing, these matches and the banger matches that he's put on for the last couple of years or so, he slowly but surely grew on me. And now he's gone from grow on me to earning my respect. And MF, more than anybody, knows this, friends. And I've said it on this show many of times. I do not impress easy. But that young man has damn sure impressed me ever since he won that title. As long as he keeps that title, his matches are only going to get better and better. And I can't wait to see who his next defense is against. 4 stars, another fight of the night contender. MF, let's... did you give your... Yeah, you gave your thoughts, didn't you?
Yeah, I rated.
Okay,
Yep.
Okay, so we can move on now.
So next up we had was a promo segment. It was the firm with Matt Hardy, and it led to a whole bunch of craziness. But when it was all said and done, we got a return, y'all. Jeff Hardy is back in AEW, reuniting with Matt Hardy. The Hardys are back together. This is going to be very interesting now. Obviously, the whole story is that everybody is more worried about Jeff physically, mentally, emotionally. He has been going through some demons lately, as it relates to alcohol and drugs. It's been a roller coaster for Jeff Hardy, man. I think we all can agree with that. It's glad to see him back in wrestling. It's good to see him back in the ring, but obviously we're more worried about the health and everything else, and we hope that that he comes back, that he is in a clear mind, body, sound, whatever you want to say. We hope everything does work, and we're glad to have him back. So with that said, then we have Claudio Castagnoli and Jon Moxley going up against Brandon Cutler and Michael Nakazawa. It was Blackpool Combat Club winning the fight in 3 minutes and 10 seconds. This was a squash. I'm sorry. I mean, this was basically Blackpool Combat Club basically beating the daylights out of the lackeys of the elite. That's what Michael Nakazawa and Brandon Cutler have now become. The lackeys. They're not, it's kind of one of those type of things where they just wanted to make an example out of them. They did. Message sent. Nothing more to say. So I think it's going to be, and for them to do it at the end with the story where they brought the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega to come out to make the save. What cool, I guess. I'm not going to say it was anything more than that. And next we had was Ruby Soho and Tony Storm versus Sky Blue and Riho. Winners of the bout in 4 minutes and 23 seconds. Ruby Soho and Tony Storm. Yeah, it was expected. I think there wasn't really anything amazing on this one. You're giving the Outcast the leg up, but a nice little moment by having Jamie Hayter and Britt Baker coming out to try to even out the odds on that one. Really nothing more on that one. Main event was Chris Jericho versus Keith Lee. Chris Jericho winning the match in 14 minutes and 20 seconds. I believe this goes to, actually, does it go to me or is it yours, Florio, for this one, the main event?
I don't know. We're both sidetracked. The last, I think you started off on the last relevant
All
thing.
right, so this is the main event. You got it. It's yours.
Yeah. Um, Another good match here. I love first time ever matchups, and this is a great first time ever matchup. Chris Jericho. These younger guys always bring the best out of Chris Jericho. This is one of the rare times where Jericho gets over on the younger talent, because we all know Jericho has always had a knack for putting over younger talent. And I'll tell you what, back and forth match was ultimately decided not by the men doing battle, but by an intruder with a long and storied history with Keith Lee, and that was Swerve Strickland. Nothing about this feud to this point has been remarkably effective. The premise that Jericho is upset over the celebration Adam Cole received following his return win feels lazy, not when there is so much potential given the promo abilities of both men. This match was acceptable wrestling, but even judging by the fans' reactions, did not hit quite the way one would have expected given the guys in the ring. Even the post-match with Adam Cole helping Keith Lee was not met with the excitement one would hope for given the key players involved. There's still plenty of time before Double or Nothing to heat this thing up, but right now, everything about the Cole Jericho program, I hate to say it, has been fairly meh, and that is the last description expected given the main characters. Strickland going back to the Lee feud at least makes sense, even if it feels like we're going backwards instead of forward. At least it hopefully keeps both on television and doing something of note. Lee patted Jericho on the top of the head and kissed him on the top of the head following an early exchange, leaving the Ocho in disbelief. Jericho escaped a pop-up spirit bomb attempt and rolled Lee up for a 2. Lee pounced Jericho across the ring to the delight of the crowd. Lee attempted a middle rope moonsault, but Jericho got his knees up, driving the air out of the big man. Daniel Garcia attempted to interfere, but ate a big back elbow by Lee, then found himself on the receiving end of a big clothesline. Lee near to win, but Garcia provided a distraction of referee Aubrey Edwards that allowed Swerve to settle one of the scores he mentioned in a backstage promo earlier in the show by blasting his former tag team partner. 3.5. That's really the best I can give this. This was the third best fight of the night here. And if you had told me that we would see, a somewhat respect and a friendship based out of respect when it comes to Adam Cole and Keith Lee, I would have called you crazy. But yet, here it is, MF, a full circle moment. A few years ago, let's not forget, it was Keith Lee who ended Adam Cole's record reign as NXT champion.
Yes.
At the Great American Bash, when he unified the North American and NXT championships against Adam Cole, ending Adam Cole's 403-day reign as NXT champion, which is still the longest to this day. Although Braun got about 5 or 6 weeks within that after his almost year-long run with the belt on his end. But I think that's the second longest. But anyways, 3.5 stars, and I think I could easily see an Adam Cole, Keith Lee versus Chris Jericho, Daniel Garcia match on a future show. But I believe it's ultimately going to lead to Adam Cole and Chris Jericho at Double or Nothing. I know the bill hasn't done anything yet, but MF, if it is Cole and Jericho at Double or Nothing, I still believe they're going to put on a banger of a match, given their bodies.
Yeah. And especially Adam Cole, I think he's gonna be one of those guys that's really gonna try to thrive in this matchup more than anything else. So we'll wait and see how that plays out. And obviously, they're not done with Swerve Strickland versus Keith Lee. It looks like they're gonna go back to that well again. I wish they did not, but that's just a personal opinion. The match was fine. It was a 3-star fight. Yeah, I didn't really like the interference more than anything else, but it was a solid main event for what it was worth, more than prior to belief or whatever you want to call it. So yeah, solid, good, and really nothing more to add. So yeah, overall review, it was fine. It was maybe 7 out of 10. I mean, there was only 3 really good matches more than anything else, and then the promo segments really filled some of the gaps, but there was still some inconsistent AEW stuff throughout the evening. So it wasn't the perfect show. It wasn't the greatest show on planet Earth, but it was still fine for what it was worth. And really nothing more to add. So Anthony, it's yours.
I mean, the first almost hour was very well done. I mean, second hour not so much. I mean, we started off with that great match with Swerve Strickland and Darby Allin, and then that very good promo exchange with MJF and Darby Allin, and then we also had that Orange Cassidy Buddy Matthews international title match, and then nothing. And then after that, the only really good thing that came out of it was the setup for the Elite and the BCC. You know, where Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks showed up. I think it's definitely leading to a blood and guts match down the road. I definitely see that happening.
Agreed.
Of course, Jeff Hardy. You know, it's just like, I mean, this is to AEW what Riddle recently returning is to WWE. I mean, Jeff Hardy, just like with Matt Riddle, you know, had some demons, you know, with drugs and or alcohol and the whole nine. And just like with Matt Riddle, I'm praying for Jeff Hardy. I'm hopeful that with the recent lead that he had, I'm hopeful that that he got the help that he needs and that he can stay on that right track. We can only pray for that, but we'll wait and see what happens. But 7 teetering on 7.5, 3 good matches, a couple of other things in the middle not so good, but yeah, another solid, not too overly spectacular edition of Dynamite. So if you're pressed for time, go out of your way to see Swerve and Darby Allin, the post match promo with Darby Allin and MJF, Orange Cassidy and Buddy Matthews for the AEW International title, and even the main event with Jericho and Keith Lee. And if you're a Hardy mark like Didi Woodson and a lot of others, relive that Matt Hardy, Ethan Page segment only for the surprise return of Jeff Hardy. I was not expecting that. I know MF you weren't either, but he showed up anyway. So there you go, surprise. So we'll see what happens. So 7.5, and MF Bull's Corner. Let's go. I'm ready.
Yes, and this was the NBA play-in game. The number 10 seed, the Chicago Bulls, versus the number 9 seed, the Toronto Raptors. Now, this was implemented a couple of years ago where basically it gives the lower 4 seeds an opportunity to get into the playoffs. So 7, 8, 9, 10. So the number 7 seed was the Miami Heat. They played the number 8 seed, the Atlanta Hawks. And they face off. The winner advances to the playoffs, and they get the official number 7 seed, where the loser has to play in the 8th place game, and they would play the winner of the 9 versus 10. So, last night, Atlanta knocked out Miami. So, Atlanta gets the number 7 seed. They now play the Boston Celtics in round 1. And if you're Michael Bullock, you're probably salivating right now. You're really loving your chances now because during the regular season, Boston beat Atlanta every time. They're 4-0 against Atlanta this year. So if you're the Celtics, you're probably feeling like, hey, we just got away with one. We got an easier opponent. We should have no problem in round 1 now. We're going to probably advance. No problems. The 9-10 was tonight. Chicago versus Toronto. And when it was all said and done, it was a remarkable comeback by the Chicago Bulls, coming back from 19 down in the third to win it. 109-105, knocking out the Toronto Raptors. The Raptors are done. They are out of the playoff picture. The Bulls advance. They got to play one more game. They got to play Miami Friday night, 7 p.m. TNT from Miami. And the winner of that game gets the number 8 seed. They will face off with the Milwaukee Bucks in round 1 of the NBA playoffs. My goodness, where do we begin? Zach LaVine, 39 points in the game. 39 points with 6 rebounds and 3 assists in the game. DeMar DeRozan, we got Batman. Here comes Robin flying in with 23 points and 7 rebounds in the winning effort. And Nikolai Vucevic, a double-double, 14 points and 13 rebounds in the game. That's exactly what we needed the whole time through. Then for Toronto, in their losing effort, it was Pascal Siakam and Fred VanVleet. They led the way. 32 points for Pascal Siakam. Fred VanVleet got a double-double, 26 points and 12 rebounds. And Scotty Barnes had a breakout game, a double-double for him, 19 and 10. Look, if you want to talk about summary, you want to talk about the breakdown and everything else, if you think about it, the two things that are going to really haunt the Toronto Raptors in this offseason is going to be this. They went 11 for 31 from three-point range, and this is the killer, 18 of 36 from the free throw line. They absolutely got slaughtered by those two stat lines. Now, Chicago wasn't any better in the three-point range. They were 7 for 26. Normally, you do that, you're losing the game. But what really helped Chicago was they were shooting almost 49% from the field, and that is what got them into the situation. The one killer was they got out-rebounded 50 to 36. And all in all, what really helped Chicago win this game, and I honestly got to say it, the points off the turnovers, 22 to 17. Chicago had 10 blocks to 5 from Milwaukee, and they stole the ball 9 to 5. And the fast break points for Chicago, 14 to 8. And without a doubt, the other thing that really stood out for the Chicago Bulls was their bench scoring. And this is real honest. Their bench alone outscored the Miami Heat. Outscored the Toronto Raptors. Listen to this. 21 to 8 bench scoring. That's not that minus the starters. Take away the starters. The bench itself, 21 to 8 by the bench. Anthony Florio, what a night. Big win for Chicago. However, the job's not done. One down, but we still got one more game to go. We got to win on Friday over Miami, and then we can say we're dancing in the playoffs.
One down, one to go, but it was tough. Friday's going to be even tougher because Miami, especially in Miami, that is not easy. That's a very tough place to win. But then again, they won in Toronto, where the Raptors were 27 and 14 during the regular season, and I feel for the Raptor fans. One in particular, my young cousin Ben is a Toronto Raptor fan, and I know he's probably very disappointed with this result tonight once he gets word of it. But yeah. Zach LaVine was the star of the game. He was our MVP tonight. 17 points in that third quarter. That's what did it. And Chicago trailed by by as many as 19, and they still found a way to win it. Fourth quarter was the difference. They outscored Toronto in that fourth quarter alone, 37-24, and that's what put. So big win for the Chicago Bulls, and yeah, dismal 3-point shooting. 27% from that, but the free throws about 82% and 49% from the field. Fit by a total of 50-36, 16-8 offensive edge for Toronto, 34-28 defensive rebound edge to Toronto. And just 3 more assists by Toronto, 23-20. You talked about the steals. What about the block shots? The Bulls had 10 blocks. Raptors had 5. Chicago committed only 17 turnovers, or I should say 11 turnovers, whereas Toronto committed 16 turnovers. And but Toronto did outscore Chicago 22-17 in those turnovers. 52-40 in favor of Chicago. Toronto committed 18 fouls. Toronto had 18 fouls. Chicago 22. 19 was the biggest lead for Toronto. Chicago's was 4, which is obviously the final score of this game tonight. And what a win. I mean, when they were down, when I saw that they were down, 17-19, I was like, yeah, this is over. But we learned a lesson here tonight. No matter how bleak things get, don't ever change the channel. No lead is ever safe, regardless of what sport you're watching. And the Chicago Bulls, I saw heart and I saw guts and I saw determination. And DeMar DeRozan, the girl dad that he is, he did it for his little daughter who was there. And his little daughter became a viral sensation here tonight. And I think that might have been one of the things that helped Chicago win this game here tonight. And I had my doubts, but they proved me wrong. And I'm not going to lie, I have doubts about Friday because Miami, very tough opponent, especially in Miami. But you never know. Stranger things have happened. So we will have a Bulls Corner again on Friday night to recap this game, win or lose. Question is, will it be a second? Will it be just a 2-show Bulls Corner this year? Or are we going to get at least one playoff series out of this? And if it is, it would be a rematch with the Milwaukee Bucks. If remember, we played Milwaukee in the first round last year, but Milwaukee, had their way with us. So we'll see what happens. So, but a very impressive win here tonight. I was never more proud, and they didn't quit. I mean, they very easily could have phoned it in when they fell behind that big, but they fought and they fought and they fought, and they pulled it out. Unbelievable. Zach LaVine, 17 in that third quarter. That was a difference. And that 37-24 fourth quarter was also a difference. So great win tonight. I'm pleased. I'm happy. And, well, unfortunately, the job is not done yet. Now we got to go into Miami, beat the Heat on Friday night. And if that happens, then we get another shot at the Bucks come the first round of the playoffs, which would start on Sunday. So we'll see what happens. So MF, great win tonight. Great come from behind win. Heart, guts, determination. Those were the words of the night for this one. And to me, Zach LaVine, the star of this game, and he took over that game. 17-point third quarter. And then that fourth quarter explosion, 37-24. Those were the differences. Great team win tonight. But now we got an even tougher opponent, Miami. In Miami, that is, by God, not going to be easy.
And not only that, but Miami got blown out. They got embarrassed the other night, last night. They got embarrassed by the Atlanta Hawks. They made a little bit of a run towards the end, but then the Hawks was like, nope, we're not letting this happen. And they dropped the hammer. We know Miami's going to be coming to play because now the 8 seed's on the line. And so I don't know. We'll wait and see how it plays out. But Chicago's got one win. They're one win away from making the playoffs. And that was the ultimate goal for Chicago, to get into the second season. We made it difficult on ourselves. We'll say that. We made it difficult for ourselves. We probably could have won a few games that, that earlier in the year that we probably would have not gotten ourselves into this mess. But, hey, resiliency, the heart of the champion, and with two all-stars in Zach LaVine and with DeMar DeRozan, um, they now got us one game away from getting into the ultimate, the tournament. And like we said, the Bulls corner could be back on a full-time basis. So we'll see. Friday night, 7 p.m., we will be the game. We will recap it as part of the Cerebral Smack Talk on Friday night. And we'll go from there. So with that said, we're done for tonight. Tomorrow night is TXN Sports World. And Floyo, it's yours. Give us the rundown.
Alrighty. 10:30 tomorrow. Obviously, I'm sure. So, all right. So 10:30 tomorrow night, we have another edition of TXN Sports World. Last week, not so much. It was a meh show, to be honest with you. But oh no, this show ain't going to be meh tomorrow. Oh no, we got a big show coming for you. We're going to start it off. Odell Beckham Jr. has a new home. He has signed with a new team. Who is that team? You'll have to find out tomorrow night. And then from there, we will preview week 9 of the XFL. And then on top of that, we're also going to preview week 1 of the USFL. The USFL is back this weekend. We'll preview the week 1 action. And then from there, MF, you will give us your recap of UFC 287. And then from there, in our main event, it'll be our preview of the NBA playoffs. So you don't want to miss that. OBJ, new team. XFL week 9 preview. USFL week 1 preview. MF's recap of UFC 287. And then our preview of the NBA playoffs to close it out. Big show, 10:30 tomorrow night, TXN Sports World. You don't want to miss it. Ain't going to be no mess show this week after last week. So not much more to say. MF, take it home with the rest of the future content.
Right after that, it is we also got the Cerebral Smack Talk, SmackDown Live, Rampage, and then after that we do it all over again. So yeah, that's it. We're done. We're out of here. So thank you so much for watching, guys. As always, like the video, leave a comment at the bottom, share with all your friends on all the social media platforms around the world. And for Anthony Florio, I am Michael Fletcher saying so long, everybody. We'll see you all tomorrow night.
Goodbye.